Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Refine and Shine. I am super excited because I have another amazing guest. All my guests are so amazing, and I love having a variety of amazing people that I've met through different things, different walks of life. I met Dana about 6 or 7 months ago at an event. We met virtually. We kind of were in meetings together as we had worked on this event together. And then I physically met her in person, and wow, what an amazing person. Let me tell you, this lady is strong. She is full of character. She will make you laugh. Sometimes she'll laugh so much you'll cry because she's just amazing. She's a mom of 5 awesome boys, aging from the ranges of 16 all the way up to soon be to 8 years old. She was a public school teacher for 20 years, and this is amazing. 16 years in middle school age, 7th and 8th grade, and then 4 years at high school level, which the public school system, to be in that for 20 years is just amazing. She has a master's and she has an undergrad. She's co-owner of Chesterton Fit Body Boot Camp. She's a fitness enthusiast. She's run over 100 races. And if you guys remember, I love running. So I think that that's amazing. She's done several half marathons and 1 marathon as well. And then she's co-owner of Positive Persistence with her husband, Ian. And then she's co-creator of an amazing Instagram channel, The Real Dana Bowen. You got to watch it. I'll put her information in the show notes. I have to put a timer because I'll start watching and I'm like, okay.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being on. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
So I want to talk to you, like 20 years in the school system. That's a long time. And wow, you look and you're like so young. So to be in the school district for 20 years is awesome. But tell me a little bit about that. Was that challenging?
Yeah, so it wasn't, I feel like some people grow up and they're like, I want to be a teacher. They know they want to be a teacher when they grow up. And that wasn't really my dream. I went to IU, Indiana University in Bloomington, and I got there thinking that I would do something or go after something in maybe marketing or advertising. the business school there is very competitive, and there was no way that I was getting in with, just my grades from high school and everything like that. And so I started taking a few like prerequisite classes for business. And I soon realized that that just was not the path for me. Like the math was not mathing, and it was just really overwhelming. And like you said, I'm 43 and I left for college when I was 17. And so I have a late birthday. And I started kindergarten, I think I was 4. So I was always a year behind everybody age wise in my grade. So I graduated college at 22, 21, 22. And I was doing my student teaching. Yeah, 21. I was doing my student teaching when I was 21 years old. So I entered the school system fairly early. When I entered the public school system, it was still really competitive. Unfortunately, right now, schools are struggling to get teachers. But when I was coming into that realm, it was really difficult to get a job, especially because I was social studies based, which a lot of times goes to coaches, unfortunately. So you'll see a lot of social studies teachers are, the football coach or this coach or that coach. And so it's often a very male dominated subject area, especially in the high school. So I got my middle school years under my belt until I finally got into the high school where I really wanted to be. And it was difficult. I taught in Lansing, Illinois. That was my first job, which is a south suburb of Chicago. And it was different than how I had grown up. And I didn't really feel like college had prepared me for real life situations that I would encounter. And so things like classroom management were really difficult. My first year, teaching is kind of a job where you have to earn your stripes.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, some teachers were not kind to me, and the veteran teachers were not kind to me, and it's not like they took me under my wing, or their wing. It was more like kind of a fend for yourself situation. um so it was really difficult, and then it got easier and I got really good at it, and I found my own way. And but it was really more rewarding, I guess, than difficult. And just as time progressed, it just got more, I don't wanna say political, but there's so much red tape that
Mhm.
affects teachers today, and it's not just, go into your classroom and do what's best for kids. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know about, that teachers go through, and I just respect them. I just respect all teachers so much because it is a really difficult profession, because you're dealing with, sometimes 35 different learners in a classroom, and, you're expected to teach them all in a short period of time. And so it is really trying, but I will say that it is a really rewarding profession as well. So that's a long-winded answer to a very simple question.
No, I love that because what you just said something that was really like I never even thought about it that way. You said 35 different learners in a classroom. That's
Right.
35 different personalities.
Yeah.
And they don't stay in your class. I mean, for that subject area, it's not like they're in your classroom all day. Like you're going through what, 6 periods. So that 35 times 6, that's like
Yeah.
180 plus people that you're
Yeah.
dealing with every single day, just in the classroom environment, not even just dealing with like the parents and the all the other
Mhm.
teachers and all those things. So I think that that's awesome to do something like that for 20 years. And I never even thought about like you're just dealing like I know sometimes at work, just well, at not at this present job, but at my old job, we had over 1,000 people, and like just dealing with different people. Like sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to go in that area because I don't want to deal with those people today. But you didn't
Yeah.
have a choice; you had to deal with them, and I
Yeah,
think
and sometimes that was difficult. Like you would have class periods, or even students, we're human, where it was like they were very difficult. But then I also made lifetime connections where some of the students I had my first year of teaching, like I just spoke on the phone with one of them for over an hour the other night. I've been to weddings, like they're having kids, and so there are so many wonderful things
Mhm.
about it. But yeah, I mean, my last year of teaching, I was teaching a team taught geography class. So there were special education students, and then I had a team teacher with me who's one of my very good friends. But in a class, I think, it's supposed to be small group because these students, many of them had IEPs or individualized education plans. So they all have to be followed and they're all different. So they all have different specifications listed. And I think 20, I had over 30 students, and I think 29 of them had IEPs, so individualized education plans. So to differentiate in 29 different ways or to do that is very hard, and that's put on teachers all the time. So again, I just have the utmost respect, and most teachers are good and they have good kind hearts and they want to do what's best for students, and I know that from working with hundreds and hundreds of teachers throughout the years, and I just know that, they do, most of them do have really good intentions.
No, I think that's awesome. I think that's really helps our listeners put things into perspective too when they're sending their children to school or, just teachers go through a lot. They have a hard,
Yeah.
it's not an easy job. Some people look at it, well, they're only there for 6 months or 10 months out of the year. They get 2 months off, but there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. Like you said, you don't just like in a regular job, like I come from the manufacturing industry. I would still think about my work as a manager, but like the
Mhm.
mechanics, they didn't really think about like once they're done with their job, they're done for the day. Like, but
Right.
like as managers or teachers, we go home, we have to do work, we have to plan for the next day. And there's a lot that goes into that. So I thank you for that. I think that 20
Yeah.
years doing that is amazing. And I would love to know, like, how did you get from teaching to your gym? How did that transition, or and did you teach and do the gym at the same time?
Yes, I did for a short time do that. So my husband owned Fit Body Boot Camp before I met him. So well, he opened in October of 2018. And so I came in as a mom looking to get her after baby body back. That's kind of what I thought I was searching for. And I had just had my fourth son and I had had four C-sections. And so there was a lot of healing. And I was either nursing or pregnant, I think, for 9 years straight. And so I never really had, I had lost a lot of myself, which I would never change for anything. I loved every second of that, but I was ready to have kind of my body back to myself. And so I came to the first session, the first day that he had opened, and there were five of us. And I saw that there was this gym opening in my town in Chesterton, and I was like, this sounds great. And I bought a Groupon. It was like $67 for 5 weeks or something very inexpensive. And I was like, I'll try this out. It sounds like something I might like. And so a girlfriend of mine went together, and that was kind of that. So I really loved the environment that he had created, that Ian had created there. The culture was just wonderful, such a supportive group of people. And he was just awesome, like, just an awesome trainer, and that's all I knew him at, like, I just knew him as a trainer at that time, and so, he was actually very, very personal and, like, walled off, and, you've met Ian, obviously, and so he's really actually very friendly and kind and funny, but, um, at the time, he was very walled off, and it was, like, personal life, business life, and so I didn't know anything about him. I just knew that I went to the gym, he kicked my butt, told me what to do to get certain results that I was looking for, and that was kind of it. Um, so then over time, I started getting more involved, and so he was kind of a one-man show at that point. There was one other coach in the gym, but he was really doing everything, and I kinda noticed that he was not struggling, I don't wanna say that, but that there was a lot on his plate.
Yeah.
He didn't really have, the support at home. His, partner at the time was not involved in the business, and so that can make things difficult, especially starting up as a brand new entrepreneur, and so over time, I was like, "Hey, why don't you let me, like, plan the Christmas party?" And he was like, you're crazy. Like, this woman is crazy. Or I would say, like, how about you let me, take this off your plate? And I was just a member. And my main objective at that time was like, I love this place. I need this for me. And I don't want it to close. We live in a small town and businesses, as you know, being an entrepreneur, like you open something or you start a business and there's a good chance that it's not going to make it for various reasons. And so I was like, I need this place to stick around because it's important to me. And so really it was very selfish at first. Like, I was recruiting people to come. I was a teacher, and so I was I was getting really great results. And so people were like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Come to Fit Body, come to Fit Body, come to Fit Body." And so pretty soon we had like the whole school system there. Working out, which was very cool. And so I kind of helped him build this business unknowingly and a little bit on, my just for my own selfish reasons. But then in January of, oh gosh, 2020, I said, "Hey, why don't you pay me for some of the stuff that I'm doing and bring me on as like a part-time admin because I could teach and I could do this admin work at the same time." At this point, I'd been teaching for a long time, and so I kind of had that all like down pat. And I was like, I have the time to do this. And so I started working for him. And then we know what happened in March of 2020. The world shut down. And we quickly had to flip from being a, brick and mortar to a online business very quickly, literally overnight. Like, one day we found out, like, you're shut down for 2 weeks. It was like, okay. And then it was like, no, you're kind of shut down indefinitely. So at that point, it was like full on, we need to do this from 7 to 4. So I was kind of online teaching, posting my assignments, doing what I needed to do there to get through that first part of COVID, and then also doing the work with the gym. And that's kind of when I came on more like full time and when I really felt invested and I felt like this is something that I wanted to do long term.
Think it's so important that the things that you said when you said that it like kind of selfishly, but I think that that's something that like we that as women and or even men can be, it can be said is that when we take time to take care of ourselves and go to the gym and like those are our priorities. Like my son is very strict. He's a how old is my son? 24. He's 24 years
Yeah.
old and he's very, very strict. Like, I have to go to the gym. Like, these are my
Yeah.
gym days. And he, like, we have this family calendar and he has, like, it's like gym, 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 no gym. Like, if his blanket's no gym. But he is very ritual on his schedule. And he's had relationships end because he was like, my gym is my priority. That's me. And people will call him selfish. But he's like, for me, at the end of the day, it's my body. And if I don't take care of myself, then nobody else can. Like there are things where if you don't take care of your physical health, it can affect your emotional health and all other things. And there's so many things that can happen. And we want to live a long life, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's so important. And that's one of the things that I admired so much about you is when I had met you, you had just had surgery, and yet you were here, and it wasn't a minor surgery. I mean, it was like surgery, and
Yeah.
you were like
I had
moving.
my gallbladder removed. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and you were
it's invasive.
yeah, and you were just like moving around and you're fit. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you inspired me. Like
Thank
I
you.
have been somebody who's like did like I for selfish reasons people can say is like when I was going through a very hard time in my life, through the journey before my husband decided to get sober, which he's now sober for 10 years. But I was like,
It's
we were going
awesome.
through, thank you. While we were going through that challenge in life, um, I started running. I started
Mhm.
walking and running, and it
Yeah.
was, yes, to get out of the house, but it was also because I knew that if I didn't physically do something for my body, and let sat with all the things that were going on around me,
Mhm.
I was either going to die from a heart attack or something,
Yeah.
or I was going to just start binging out and watching TV just to be numb to the
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
using exercise And taking care of our bodies is so important. And I think that that's amazing that you realize, you've carried babies for so long, you nursed them, you did all the things, which most people don't even nurse their babies. So especially it's more present now, but in the years ago, it wasn't. I remember when I started nursing, everybody was like, what, you want a breastfeeding room? I'm like, yeah, it's the law,
Yeah. Yeah.
because people didn't do that. And I think
Yeah.
that that's awesome.
Thank
And
you.
you realize that because of all of that, like you have been giving your body to your children,
Yeah.
raising them, and it was time to take care of you. I think that's awesome. I think
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Yeah, it's true. I did. And I nursed my last son, my little guy who's almost 8. I nursed him for about 2 years. It was not very much at the end, but
Mm.
it was really comforting. I knew he was my last, and I just it was hard to let go. Um and so but I also wasn't letting go of a lot of the fat stores that I was holding. So your body, in order to sustain life, or like your body knows that you're feeding this baby, or this toddler almost at that point, but you're feeding that, and so your body is holding on to those fat stores. And so as soon as I decided, like, okay, it's a good time to stop and I'm ready to work on myself, it was like a whoosh, like a release of um just hormones that I had been holding on to, and fat stores, and I felt like immediately good, and I had felt fine before, but I just felt not like myself. And so it was great to just get back to being athletic again. And I loved the feeling of being challenged every time that I went to go to the gym. It was only a 30-minute workout. It still is. It's a 30-minute workout. And so you could fit that into your schedule without the mom guilt, because I do feel like a lot of moms carry that guilt with them because they are constantly doing something for everybody else. And so to take that 30 minutes to go to the gym, or, to take that 30 minutes for any kind of self-care, it's hard for some moms. Like, you're like, "Oh, I should be getting home. I should pick up my kiddo from daycare." Like, I would go right after work. I would leave school, I would change into my workout clothes in the restroom. I would bring my bag into school in the morning, and I would just go straight to the gym. And so my kids would have to hang out with their babysitter, or, at the Boys and Girls Club for that extra like half hour, 40 minutes. And guess what? They're fine. They loved it. They're having fun. And I would still be able to get them by, 4:30 or something, but that extra half hour, on my tacked on my schedule, was really difficult at first. And then after a while, after a few weeks of being consistent, it was like, okay, I love this. This is what needs to happen all the time. And that guilt really subsided. And I did feel like I was filling my cup, and so then I could fill everybody else's.
I love that what you said is that it was difficult at first, but with
Right.
consistent habits, it happened and it made you feel better. And I also think it's so important is that a lot of people are like, if I can't work out in the morning, then I can't do it. But you
Yeah.
made it a way to fit it into your schedule. You would teach during the day, you would go to the gym, and then you would go pick up your kids. Because there's so many times, like I know that, like even when I was working in the manufacturing plant, I would have my hour drive, but I would be commuting with people, and then I'm like, it's still like listening, 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 and then I would like sometimes. I would need 5 to 10 minutes before I walked into my house because I
Yes.
needed that transition time. And going to the gym allowed you to that transition time. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like work and then kids. It was like,
Yes.
let me just release some endorphins, let me
Mhm.
just get that
Yeah.
dopamine rush of that, getting those weights in.
Yes.
I think that's awesome. And I think that's so important for
Thank
my listeners to know that you can fit it in. And this is one of the
Yes.
things I said when I saw you guys and you guys were just talking and we were having those conversations in between while we're checking people in and there was a lot of there was the Fit Body Boot Camp sponsored some of the things there. I believe we were
Yes. Yeah, our CEO, Bryce Henson, who is absolutely amazing. He was there speaking, and FitBody, I believe, sponsored the one of the meals, like the dinner or the
there.
appetizers or something like that. So yeah, so he was there too. Yeah, it was a really fun event.
And I seen so many fit people, and then I was like, oh my gosh, they're and I used to do CrossFit a long time ago for a couple of
Mhm.
years. And but it's like you can get a good workout in a half an hour, right? And you
Oh yeah.
take away the excuses, I don't have time, I don't have this. What does it matter more? Are you going to have time and later in life? Do you rather be, have somebody take you to the
Yeah.
restroom because you can't walk or do all these things because you're not taking care of
Yes.
your health? I think that's important. And so you, I had been having that excuse for a while, and though I knew I had went through going to the gym, I
Yeah.
was running, I was doing all these things. I stopped and I slacked
Yeah.
when I changed jobs because in my old job, I could walk around the production plant and easily get in 5 miles a day. But once I transitioned to where I'm like mostly a sit down job, I was
Yes.
like, I need to start scheduling in those walks. And I even do, sometimes I'll do it with an app. Like I'll do a workout that the app tells me to do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's only a half hour. Like I can do it. My
Yeah.
husband will come around the corner because the living room's on the other side of where I'm at. And he'll come around the corner and he's like, I just heard you breathing hard. I was like, what is she doing? And I'm just like working on the app.
Yeah,
Like,
get it, girl.
right.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's, and that is really all you need. And you can get in a good lift, a good heavy lift, and a good, or a good workout. So half hour is plenty. And now this isn't a half hour with, you're checking your phone in between sets and you're doing that. It's like a concentrated half hour of good movement where you're getting your heart rate up, bringing it down. We're doing that hit training or strength training. And so, yeah, so that half hour can be very meaningful, but it's just like anything else. It's like, you have to make time. People always say, I just don't have time. And it's like, well, yes, you do have the time. You just need to re-examine your schedule or re-examine your priorities. When people say, well, I just don't have time, I would say, well, let me see your screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up your screen time on your cell phone. Okay. If it's more than, a half hour, I think we can make some time to work out. So it's all about prioritizing. And just like you said, you could either pay for it now and put in the time now, or you could pay for it later with your health and with the decline of your health. And it's like you have to put in the work now to reap the benefits later. So working on that core stability and strength and stamina is not just about, well, how do I look or how do I feel in my skin today? It's about how am I going to be, getting around when I'm 80? Like I still want to be one of those active 80-year-olds, 85-year-olds. Like we have members at our gym in our 55 plus program that are, 81 years old and they're running circles around some 50-year-olds that I know. Like because they've always stayed active and they've worked on that, stamina and stability and strength. And that is just invaluable when it comes to, so like I'm in my 40s, but I'm prepping for my
Yeah.
80s. Right.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it also showed to you, when the time, the time, we'll talk about that real quick. I do time management coaching. And the first thing I do when you said, show me your screen time, I
Yeah.
have them right in before I do, give them a sheet and I say, do a time audit. And I want 3 days, 1 to 3 days of time audit. Like, what did you do from the beginning that you woke up to the end of the day? Like, and be honest, because if you're not honest, you're only cheating yourself. And a lot of people will start to think like day one, watch Netflix or watch this, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like, while watching Netflix, I walked on the treadmill. Like they change it, like they realize
Yeah.
that they can start doing things. And I think that's so important. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was that when your kids, they knew that you were going to the gym, they felt they were engaging with the community, with their, with their school program or the after school program or whatever they were doing.
Mhm.
And I think that when they see that their mother was taking time for their health, for her health, I think that's also so important. Like what your kids
Yeah.
see is so
Yeah.
important.
Oh, yes, 100%. And I do think, for your listeners, there might be a gap in this somewhere because we went from me, having my kids and transitioning into the gym. And then, I'm talking about my husband who owns the gym who I worked for. So there's a little gap in there. that maybe we should fill because it might be a little confusing. But so during COVID, Ian, my husband, and I spent a lot of time together just working on flipping the gym from brick and mortar to online. And it was this time where we really got close and we developed a friendship. And he kind of started letting me in a little bit more to that, like who he really was. I still, he was still very much like an onion, just kind of layer by layer. And usually I'm kind of a bulldozer, right? So I'm like full on just head down and I'm plowing through and I'm just kind of getting to where I want to go. But I knew with him that wouldn't work. Um, to get to know him better. And so it wasn't like, hey, just open up, like just tell me everything. So I really had to kind of, peel him away. And by doing that, by being patient and just spending this time together working over COVID, we were each going through our individual stuff separately. And it ended up that we did both get, we were both separated from our spouses. And then that friendship was kind of like, hey, we really have similar interests. We work together. Like maybe this is more than, just a friendship. Um, and so that's where that's kind of where we went from there. So we actually were married last year, July 17th. And so we've been married a year. But yeah, so there was kind of that gap there that I just wanted to fill in for your reader. So we have a beautiful blended family. So I had 4 of the boys, and then he brought a beautiful daughter and a son into my life. And so that's where we are today.
That's
So
awesome.
I just wanted to clear that up.
That's awesome because I didn't know, I didn't know the whole story. And
Yeah.
that's awesome because the thing is though that you guys support each other and you have
Yes.
developed a business together. So the fitness, the gym is one thing, but then there's another business that you guys just launched, and that's the
Yeah.
positive persistence. And so can you tell me, I mean, Ian shared a little bit, but I want to hear from your perspective of what you do and how you help out with this business.
Absolutely. So positive persistence was born out of um rewinding 15 years ago. So Ian was on your podcast. I think everybody should listen because his story is amazing and inspiring. But he was a paraplegic who they told they said, you'll probably not walk without assistance and you are not going to run again. And he was kind of like, yeah, watch me. Right. And so he did all this, it took all the steps necessary plus a million more to get to where he wanted to be, like to his new 100%. And so positive persistence was born through this process of you have to realize that you're more powerful than you think and that someone else's perception cannot be your reality. And so through him pushing through and breaking through these barriers and going through this, that's how he got to owning Fit Body Boot Camp because he was working a desk job. He was working for somebody else, a wonderful company. And they were so supportive when he said, I think I'm going to go this other route. But, he went into fitness because he was a paraplegic, because he went through all of this. And when I met him, like I said, he was very private and I didn't even know about this surgery that paralyzed him and about his story for a long time. I want to say at least a year, maybe a year and a half. Like he's so humble that he doesn't even talk about it. And then all of a sudden it was like, you wait, what? You were paralyzed from the what? And he was like, "Oh yeah, yep, it's just part of my story." And I was like, "You need to tell people this because he's a wonderful, talented speaker and he's such a great orator and to listen to him, people just kind of hang on his words, like he just has a way." And so I was like, "You need to do this for like a living. Like you need to tell your story because it's going to help so many people. Even me, when I come into the gym and, I want to complain about something being sore or a move being too hard, it's always in the back of my mind. Like, if he's not complaining, why am I? Like he's gone through this really hard stuff and come out the other side and maybe even better than he was in some regard. Why am I complaining about burpees? Like this is silly, you know? And so I was like, babe, we need to do something here because your message is so powerful. And then we were at Fit Body World Conference in, oh gosh, maybe 2021, 2022. I probably 2022, maybe 23. I can't even remember, Angelina, but we were at a conference and Amber Lee Lago spoke on stage and her story just resonated
Mhm.
so much with him. And he was just like a light bulb went off. It was more than a light bulb, like lightning struck. And it was like, yeah, okay. Like I have to speak with her. Like I have to talk to her because her story parallels his in so many ways. And he was like, I need to talk to her. And so, Amber Lee, that's the event that we met at. And she's just a powerful, powerful woman. Um, just in mind and body and everything. And so he ended up speaking with her for like an hour. She sat outside with him and just talked to him. And from then on, it was kind of the birth of this positive persistence movement. So we have a podcast. You're going to be on the podcast soon. So
Yeah.
we have positive persistence podcast and Ian is getting on stages, he's speaking, he's going to be writing a book. So this is kind of snowballed and it's great because it goes hand in hand with what we believe in our philosophy and our commitment to fit body. It's like you are powerful. um, and even at Fit Body, it's like we want to inspire fitness and change lives. And it's all about taking that mindset and believing, like, hey, I just did this really hard thing in the gym. So I'm going to walk out with my head higher and my shoulders back. And I'm going to have this confidence that I maybe didn't have before. So it's about relationships. Yeah, it's about relationships and empowering people through their fitness journey. And so positive persistence and Fit Body are separate entities, I guess, but they're so intertwined because it's all about mindset. Mindset is everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's kind of what positive persistence is about.
I love that. And yeah, when I first heard Amberly speak, it was a virtual event and she didn't really share much. I mean, she shared her story, but what
Mhm.
resonated with me is when I physically met her, she had shared something about being, she had spoken at an intimate dinner, a VIP dinner, and she had said something like that her sobriety. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." And I went up right up to her and I said, "Hey, my husband,"
Mhm.
at that time it was like maybe 7 years, and we had a
Yeah.
we again had like a 45 minute to an hour conversation. And it's just I've known her now for 3 or 4 years now. And it's just the connection, and it's the thing about our stories. Like we need to share our stories because our stories can help inspire others. And there may be something that we're pushing down inside of us that we didn't think really was important,
Yes.
but I feel that like you having your husband share his story and you even sharing your story, like that's why I wanted you on my podcast, because going through being a teacher and going through getting, having a gym and all, and now like doing this positive, persistent movement and helping people with their mindset, I think it's so important that any of us can inspire people. We just got to be consistent. We got to show up. We got to
Yes.
speak, and we got to just be there. And you never know who we can inspire. And I think that's so important. I think that's what drew me to you,
Thank
is
you.
because you are, and I don't mean to be this in a mean way, but you're like a bulldozer. Like you are like,
Yeah.
let's get this done. This is what we're gonna
Yeah.
do. And you're like the person, like if we're holding back, you're the one that's gonna push us to say, like, hey, you got this in you.
Yeah.
And I think that's so amazing. I think that
Well,
that's what
thank you.
I think that's awesome. Like you inspire so many people. Like I said, you inspire me because
Thank
you
you.
are like, I'm gonna get it done. This is how we're gonna do it, and I'm gonna show up. And you show up.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and that's half the battle, right? Is showing up because so many times there's things that are holding us back that, people don't show up for themselves or maybe their family or their spouse or whoever, but it's all about yeah, showing up and just just doing the thing, and we can all do it. I know it's simple, but it's not easy,
Mhm.
right? I mean, yeah, there's a formula, and the formula is pretty simple, right? No matter what you're trying to do, you can make an outline. Okay, here it is, you know, but it's not always easy. So committing and, sticking to it and just kind of, I do, I bulldoze my way right through.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. And
that's
yeah,
all you can do.
I think that's awesome. And now that you with your schedule, so with your gym now, do you guys still do virtual or you just do physical now, in person
So
now
we
that
do, yeah, we do run. So it's kind of we call it like our COVID hangover. We still have a virtual workout for our members. So we tape the first session of the day, the 5 a.m. session. And so there's actually a handful of people who still go live with us at 5 a.m. And so the coach will like talk to the camera and kind of coach them and, um, just give them encouragement. And then our members can watch the virtual if they're on vacation or whatever, and there's a whole library, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of workouts that they could choose from. But we are a brick and mortar business. It's a again, like, we are in the relationship business, and we just happen to specialize in fitness. That's the way we look at it. So it's all about connection, and it's hard to connect if you're not face to face. So we like it when our members come in, but we do have some virtual members that have been hanging on with us for a long time, which we absolutely love.
Yeah, I think that's so important that it's one, if you show up in person, it shows, it helps with accountability
It
and it,
does.
that connection, and it just helps with the community as well. So I think
It
that's
does. Yeah, and like the community in our gym is, gosh, like it's hard to explain how like magical it is. It sounds silly, but you know, it's just this place where it doesn't matter like your age, your shape, your size, your physical, like where you are, your physical ability, how athletic you are, non-athletic. I mean, my mom comes and she has her little group of friends at, our 7:10 a.m. session, and they are a hoot and a holler, and they come and they have the most fun together, and then they do stuff outside the gym all the time. They're best friends. And my mom has never exercised a day in her life. I mean, walking,
yeah,
organized exercise.
yeah.
She's never lifted a weight. It took me years to convince her to come in. And then I got my dad to come in, and he's like the mayor. If you think that I have the gift of gab, oh my gosh, my dad is 10 times, so we call him the mayor. So he's running his session. But I got my family involved, and like you said, our kids are watching, and so they love to come to Fit Body and do that. And they talk about positive persistence, and they talk about the guests on the podcast. So this is all really exciting for them. It's different, and it's something that they're interested in. And so that's really cool.
I love that you have your whole family involved because it's a family affair, right? If you have the
Yeah.
support of your family and a strong foundation, it's really going to help you grow far. And I love that you guys not just are using you have your business, the gym, but you also are spreading the movement of positive persistence by speaking, your podcast, you setting things up for your husband to make sure that he's getting on stage. And I think that's awesome. I love that you guys are doing this
Thank
as a
you.
family. It's amazing to see everything that you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. That means so much to me. And really, having the support of your partner is just so invaluable because it is hard to do it alone. And there are days or months where you're kind of like, oh, when I was teaching, I had a steady paycheck coming in, I had security. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's like yeah, it's you. It's on you. So you either make it or you make it. And those are the only options. I don't have like paid time off or sick days to take. It's so rewarding, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is a little bit stressful at times. So having your partner to lean on and being able to tell the kids like, hey, we're like during the summer, they're home with us. And it's like, hey, we have to film a podcast or we have to hop on this call, and to have them like understand that and respect that and know like the importance of that is it's just so important. And so yes, having the support is awesome. And like we have amazing parents. Ian's mom is right down the road from us. She is the sweetest. And my parents are our village. Like man, I can't even speak enough to everything they do for us. So yeah, having that support of your family is so important.
I think that's awesome. Before we wrap up, I would just I want to ask, or for my listeners, if
Sure.
you have one phrase or a call to action, a word or anything a call to action for them to go out there and from you, some advice or anything you want to share.
Yeah. So my big takeaway that I want everybody to practice is to lead with love. Always lead with love. Um, I mean, that's how I live my life. That's how I teach my kids to lead their lives. I think that he would probably say, changed Ian in some ways to be more heart forward. So yeah, just lead with love.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. That's awesome. And how can my listeners follow you? The best is to follow you on Instagram. I'll leave the information in my show notes, but Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So I dabble a little bit in Instagram and TikTok. So I have some funny stuff up there. But it's the real Dana Bowen. So it's Bowen, the real Dana Bowen, and that's TikTok and Instagram. And then I'm on Facebook too, but that's more like, kid stuff and
Yeah.
sports and things like that. So
Yeah, so I will leave her information in the show notes, but definitely follow her. I watch her on Instagram, and she is very funny, and she'll make
oh,
you
thank
laugh.
you.
And if you're having a bad day, you just like scroll through and watch her videos on like shampooing your hair and how to look. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a ride, I'll tell you. It's been fun. So,
But you can see your heart in what you're doing, and so that's what's
thank
amazing.
you. You're so sweet. I'm so happy that we met. We're like, fortunate circumstances. So it's just so good. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're
Okay.
doing you're doing awesome things.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fill your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.